Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my forest cabin. Today we're going to be making some fresh fish, 2 different ways, and we also have some fun sauces, some batters, and some vegetables we're going to do as well, all over an open fire. So let's get started. We've got some fresh bass. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to season it. So we're going to take a little bit of garlic. Of course, I am using my Forge to Table chef knife, still beautiful, gorgeous, and sharp as ever. And I'm just gonna give the garlic a little rough chop. Now at this stage as well, we're also gonna be cutting the garlic that we're gonna use for the aoli. So you might as well chop extra. I am cutting 2 cloves, all right? Also, while we're at it, I hope you guys have all been doing well and staying safe. And it's good to finally be back with some more content for you, but here we go. A fun video for you today, hopefully. So, just some quick garlic. The garlic's gonna be used in the marinade, like I said, and then we're also making a Chipotle aoli. The Chipotle aoli we're gonna use to beer batter some fish. Awesome. All right, now that we got the garlic cut, we are gonna start mixing it up. First thing, a little fresh olive oil. A little olive oil on the fish. Now I've already dressed the fish, meaning they already have all the insides removed. And we're gonna do a little bit of salt as well. I like to use coarse salt. Now they do have a little bit of natural kind of salinity, but I think some extra seasoning is nice. Pepper as well, of course. Now, like Thomas Keller says, salt enhances flavor, pepper changes flavor, acidity enhances flavor as well. I'm gonna do both. Darker pepper, that's a mix, and we're gonna do a little seasoning mix here. It's pepper, citrus, a couple different herbs. I think that'll be nice, bring out the flavor of the fish. And of course, on the other side, the seasoning as well. Now this is also where you can kind of mix and match and do whatever you want. If you want to add some fresh herbs, fresh lemon, season it really however you like. I don't really have a whole lot of stuff, so we're making do with what we have, but it's gonna be delicious anyway. Garlic on the fish. Kind of see if you can get it inside of the slits that I've already made. I've already went ahead and scored the skin, which is gonna make sure the skin gets crispy and also help it cook nice and evenly. And then I'm also gonna take some butter, and I'm gonna throw some butter just inside here, just like this. Help keep it moist, keep it nice and delicious and fatty while it's on the grill. Lovely. All right, now that the fish is done, we're gonna make the beer batter for our other fish here, and that's the next step, so let's get started. All right, we are gonna make a super simple beer batter. I think it's gonna taste fantastic, but with this nice fish, it's gonna be nice and crispy, golden, flaky, delicious. That's what we're going for, but we're gonna make it easy. So come on down here. First, 1 cup of flour, then 1 egg, and finally, of course, it is beer batter. We are gonna whisk this together first. Just get the egg kind of slowly started to get incorporated. And then we're gonna slowly add 1 12-ounce beer. Of course, the wind doesn't make it super easy, but that's what you get for cooking outside in the wilderness, of course. Now, of course, like I said, make sure you add the beer slowly and incorporate it every time. That's gonna help keep a nice, super smooth, even batter. When you get to this phase, you kind of see it start to clump up a bit. This is when you can kind of work it. You don't want to overwork it, of course, like anything with flour. It starts to get tough, and we want a nice, light, flaky batter. Now this phase, this is where you don't really want to work it too much if you can help it, because the actual aeration in the beer is what helps make it nice and flaky. So we're gonna add the rest of this beer here. Wow, still got a bit to go. And you also want to make this ahead of time because you want this to sit for about 10 minutes before you actually end up battering your fish. There we go. Beautiful. And that should be perfect. So we're gonna let that sit. That's just gonna chill out. If you wanted this to be spicy, you could also put cayenne pepper, hot sauce, other chilies in your batter as well. While we're on this, I'm also gonna put a little bit of salt, of course, like with everything, and some pepper as well. Super classic beer batter. You can also kind of color it and flavor it, like I said, any way you want. You can add paprika to it, make it a little red, a little citrus, like lemon zest in there would be really nice as well. But there you go, nice classic beer batter. All right, next we're gonna make a Chipotle aioli. And that's gonna be for our beer battered fish, all right? Of course, you could serve this with a classic tartar sauce. You could just do it with lemon, with malt vinegar is how I like to eat it. Or you could do like a spicy marinara, really however you want. But the man that caught this fish suggested that we do a Chipotle aioli with it. I said, okay, so here we are. First, we need an egg yolk. We're just gonna, I kinda like to do this. It gets 100% of the white out. I think that's a foolproof plan. Of course, you can do it with the shell to shell method, whatever you like. Now, what makes this Chipotle is I have this nice Chipotle mustard we got. Of course, adding fresh Chipotle chilies would be lovely, but I'm gonna add a handful of that just to make sure we get the flavor. Right from the beginning, a little bit of pepper, and of course, a bit of salt. Now you can see, we've just got the yolk, about a tablespoon of the mustard, salt and pepper, all right? Now here's where it gets a little tricky. We're making what's called an emulsification. We're gonna emulsify oil into fat. Now, well, the egg yolk essentially. These are two things that normally don't go together that we're gonna make into a pretty stable emulsion. Now, egg yolk can hold pretty much an infinite amount of oil, so don't worry about how much oil you're adding. The important thing is to add it slowly enough that you don't split the emulsion, because then you're not gonna get a nice aioli. So we're gonna start slow. Just a nice stream in the middle. If you can keep the stream steady, that would be ideal. And we're just gonna slowly start to build the sauce. Now, I also like a little freshness. If you have a fresh lemon, acid in here is great. I'm gonna put some of this fresh garlic in at this stage as well, which is really what makes it an aioli. Up until that point, it's basically just mayonnaise. And then, it should be delicious. I'm gonna keep going with this, and you'll see it starts to get nice and smooth. Now this texture is not too bad. I'm gonna keep adding oil. The oil is basically just gonna give me more of the product I'm making. There we go, nice and smooth. And then, once you get to the general amount that you're looking to make, I'm just gonna add a little bit of fresh water to it to help thin it out and make it more of a sauce dipping consistency. Now, we should be good to go. Looks gorgeous. Of course, give everything a taste. It's wonderful. It's really nice. I'm actually gonna finish it with a little bit of olive oil, since we're using this vegetable oil over here. I don't like to use the olive oil for the whole aioli as much because it has that really strong, you know, extra virgin olive oil kind of bitterness to it. But it is nice to help kind of round out the oil flavor a bit in there. Perfect, all right. Now, that is how you make a classic aioli. Now, of course, as with everything, you could take this aioli, you could add fresh lemon, like I said, different herbs, different seasonings, really make it your own. And you can also take this aioli base, add capers and anchovies, garlic and Parmesan. You have a perfect Caesar dressing. Take this and add all sorts of stuff. Really great thing to have in your repertoire for just to pull out for any sauces. It's great for everything. All right, so we've got our beer batter, we've got our aioli, fish marinating. the next thing we have to do is fillet this baby and get it ready to dip into the beer batter. So let's go do that. All right, so of course we're beer battering fish. We're gonna deep fry it. I've got some vegetable oil in a cast iron skillet over the nice fire right here. Also, make sure that you have nice heat. We want a good even heat distribution, so when we put these other fish on there as well, they get some nice color, but also we just don't want it to burn in any areas, all right? Try not to have any hot spots. And then you also want your oil right around 350, 375 degrees, all right? That's where we're gonna get a nice crisp, but also guarantee that the fish gets cooked all the way through in the center. All right, we're gonna do some vegetables too, of course. So, nice fresh zucchini. Wow, this knife is amazing. And I'm just gonna cut it long ways like this in 3 pieces. Easy money. And then we're gonna go into the tray and we're gonna do a little olive oil and a little bit of pepper. And you guessed it, salt. All right, a nice little mix around. Those are ready for the grill. All right, let's fillet some fish. Of course, we've already cleaned this one as well. And if you have a long fillet knife, that is ideal. This knife's gonna work just perfectly. Now here's how you fillet a fish. We're gonna start up at the top. There's a bone that runs all the way down, just cartilage. And we're gonna find it, and we're just gonna get right inside and run our knife along the back. Now if you don't have the scales off, like I don't, because we're not gonna be using the skin, this will be a little bit more difficult, but you'll just fight through it. Run it all the way down. Keep it right up against that bone structure there. You can strokes. Keep going through. And pretty soon, you'll get this whole fillet off. Now once you get down here, I like to just come all the way through and take this piece off. That's gonna make it a little bit easier for you to come up and pull off the rest of this fillet here. Just like this. Perfect. And then we're also gonna go ahead and take the skin off. I'm just gonna come in here. I don't wanna tear up this meat too much, or at all actually. So we're gonna be nice and gentle. Oh, but it's chilly out here. My hands are cold. Alright. Now once you get the fillet off, taking the skin off is one of the easier parts in my opinion. There we go. And then we're just going to cut right here at an angle, just behind this fin, straight down. And that's going to be where we're going to end our fillet. And we can even save the collars, of course, and you can use the collars for a nice roast. Just going to finish the fillet just like that. Then we're gonna do the same to the other side, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to skin it right now while we're on this side. Step 1, we're just gonna run the knife just along these bones here, just under them. And we're just gonna take off that extra bit of fish and that extra bit of bone right there. Now this is great in a stock or in a soup. Definitely not something to throw away. That'd be fantastic for a sauce as well, a nice seafood sauce or broth. Now this is where we're just gonna clean up the rest of the fish. There's a couple more pin bones here. If you have tweezers, you can check it for pin bones. There's a whole load of pin bones right there. I'm gonna go ahead and take the skin off first. The way you do that is you take your knife at the end and you just kind of slowly run it down. And then once you get it through, you're gonna go ahead and pull the skin while simultaneously pulling your knife angled just down toward the skin. And if you do that, the skin will come off, no fish. You'll get a nice fillet, just like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and clean it up, and we're gonna get the fillet off the other fish. Then we're gonna bread it. All right, I just put on the marinated zucchini onto the grill. Our oil should be hot, so let's go batter some fish. All right, so we got the fillets from the fish. We're gonna take the nice beer batter, and this is just about as simple as it can be. We're gonna take the batter, make sure it covers everything, and just make sure all the fish has a nice battered covered coating on it. All right, nice and easy. All right, now those are gonna sit just like that. Let's put some fish on the grill. We're gonna take our 2 whole fish. These are going on the grill first, so let's go do that. Move our zucchini. I would suggest probably using tongs for this, but you know, can't always be ideal. And then we're gonna throw our fish right on the fire just like that. These babies are gonna cook for probably about 3 minutes per side. I've got a pretty hot grill here. I wanna make sure they're cooked all the way through, but still moist and juicy. And then the butter on the inside should start to melt. And then all of the garlic will start to get hot and crispy on the outside. And the skin will start to get crispy too. That's exactly when you wanna take them off. We'll just keep a good eye on them. They'll start to get perfect, but they're looking good. All right, let's fry some fish. All right. So the first thing we want to do when we're frying the fish, you got to make sure the oil is hot. To do that, we're going to test the piece. If the oil isn't hot, we're going to have to wait a little bit, but it has to be perfect because the oil being hot enough is the exact thing that guarantees that your fish gets crispy while still staying nice and moist on the inside. So we're gonna take a nice thin piece first to start, and we're just gonna dip it in. Now the oil should be sizzling and puffing up immediately. You can see how it's starting to get hot a little bit, but it's not exactly going blah, 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 blah. You'll know exactly when it's hot. So we're gonna leave it for a little bit. While we're doing that, let's go ahead and spin the zucchini. They got some nice marks forming. We're probably gonna turn them one more time just to make sure they cook all the way through and have some nice color. And then of course, always make sure to season to taste. That's important. But now the fish are starting to look pretty good. My fire has since been a little bit less hot than it started. So we're gonna give the fish a couple extra minutes, but we'll be right back and I'll show you what it looks like when we're starting to wrap up. All right, come check this out. The fish are finally crispy. They look really nice and delicious, and the oil's hot. So if you look at this, I'll show you how we're gonna do it. You'll make sure you have a nice batter, and then you're gonna go into the oil, but wave it around like this at first. That's gonna start cooking the batter, and it's gonna hold it up at the top of the oil so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And you really wanna make sure you don't overcrowd the oil here. Just a couple pieces at a time, and be nice and patient with it. I think we could probably do one more little one. Gorgeous. Meanwhile, we have our zucchini off of the flame. They're nice and gorgeous. And we're gonna go ahead and take our fish off as well. These are gonna go right onto our board. I like a nice rustic dining experience. Oh, they're so tender and fragile. The butter's just melting right out. Here we go. Beautiful. Now, while we're waiting for that to fry, we're also gonna take our nice aoli, and we'll throw the aoli down right here as well. Just a nice bed of aoli. We're gonna layer the fish right down in there. Now, the fish is gonna start to get crispy. You'll start to see it get golden. Once it starts to look delicious, that's when we're gonna pull it out. and we'll show you what it looks like at the end. All right, come check this out. The fish is so flaky, but it got a nice, lovely crust on it. Now, although uneven, the crust is nice, flaky, and crispy. Of course, there's all sorts of different things to deal with when you're working over an open flame. My heat is kind of uneven, but nonetheless, it's gonna be delicious. It looks crispy and golden. This fish is really nice and juicy, and the butter, it has a nice garlicky flavor. Still really well cooked. The zucchini is nice, of course, super fresh. You can't go wrong with a nice grilled zucchini. And there you have it, folks. So thanks for tuning in and watching our little fish fest today. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Chef Cloyce for more exciting content. And enjoy. I hope you guys have good eats and you're all staying healthy and doing well. All right, I'm gonna go dig in.